Hello and welcome to Motown Sentimeter. I'm Shereen Bhan. The global auto industry has had a difficult 2020, and now the hope is that as lockdowns and restrictions ease, sales and demand will pick up. Joining us now to talk about the outlook for 2021 is the newly appointed chairman of the board of Skoda, Thomas Schäfer. Thomas Schäfer, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Appreciate your time. As I pointed out, 2020 was a difficult year, but you still managed to do 1 million deliveries. That was for the 7th year in a row as far as Skoda was concerned. And you are confident that the road ahead looks better, not just because of your product lineup, but also because, as I pointed out, there is a sense that restrictions will ease and demand will be stimulated. Take me through the expectation.
It has been a challenging few months for all of us in the industry. One can say that global supply chains, the industry is a global industry, so we have seen hotspots coming up around the world and going away again. So to manage all of this and to close down year 2020 with a really good result, with more than 1 million cars for a company like Skoda is an enormously good result, and I'm very happy that the team pulled this off in the previous year. So I've been now with the company for the past 8 months, and I must say that the fighting spirit is very high as well, in Czech Republic as well as in India on the ground. No?
Yes, the hope is that things will improve from here. But Mr. Schäfer, let me talk to you about the challenges that you continue to face, because you were closed for about 39 days. That impacted production in 2020 in the Czech Republic for you. You're back in a lockdown in the Czech Republic as of today. What's the situation like, just in terms of disruptions that you're dealing with globally that are impacting the production line?
Yeah, so the hard lockdown in beginning of 2020 was obviously a problem. We had 39 days no production. Skoda has got to understand that we are fully utilized. So our production is running at 118% capacity. Every single moment we can build, we build with overtime and so on. So whatever was lost in the beginning of the year, we could not catch back in the second half of the year. Since then, we have been managing pretty well. We obviously have a massive health and safety protocol, 80 measures that keep our employees safe. We have extended breaks for the employees to, sanitize and, stay healthy. And that reduced the total number of vehicles that we could produce.
I also wanted to understand from you what the impact has been of the semiconductor shortage, because just about every global auto company has been impacted by that. Take me through how you intend to deal with that, and how long do you believe this is likely to continue? What's been the impact overall?
So the semiconductor issue arrived for all the industry a little bit unexpected. Fact is, the auto industry is a very small portion of the total semiconductor industry. The majority of the semiconductors go into like cell phones and so electronics and TVs and so on. So our problem that we were faced with is not a problem we can fix overnight. To grow a crystal within the semiconductor space, from, if you say start today, it takes about 26 weeks to produce one. So we'll be sitting probably for the first half of this year with shortages in various parts, and not every car is affected, not every variant. We were quite lucky because we have got quite a bit of production flexibility in our factory in Mladá Boleslav. For example, the Octavia was affected, but the Enyaq is not affected, our new electric car, and we are busy ramping this one up, so we could flexibly move around, and we move more Enyaqs into production and some less Octavias. Altogether, we'll obviously have to manage it. We're not quite clear if and when the new supply is coming. We are part of the Volkswagen group there. We get some more here and there. So far we can still manage, but it hasn't been pretty in the last couple of weeks.
No, I would imagine it hasn't been pretty. But you talked about electrification. So let me steer the conversation to your plans on the EV side. And clearly there's momentum building up. Many of your peers are talking about phasing out the ICE engine by 2030 or perhaps even earlier across Europe. What's your plan?
Skoda is well established specifically in Europe, where with the European Green Deal, we now know that electrification will probably move a lot faster than expected. So Skoda needs to move with that momentum. So you cannot stay behind and do something else. So for us at the moment, it's the balance. So how much do we go with unavoidable flow in Europe, but how much else is there in the rest of the world? And we're very strong in other countries around the world that might not go at the same speed. So we are working on product portfolios now that will give mainly Western European countries specifically the electric cars they need. But at the same time, we also need to play in other countries for maybe another 10 years plus. No? So, and to balance this is the challenge at the moment, because the investments are gigantic. And yes, we would wish to have 10 new electric cars, but you got to earn that money, and you got to sell other cars as well. There's countries in the world that cannot transform that fast.
But let me talk about India now. You've been in India since 2001, so it's been an almost two-decade-long journey for Skoda here. But market share is still less than 1%. Compare that with China, which is your single largest market worldwide. Why do you believe you haven't been able to deliver the same kind of metrics here in India?
I think you're right. In the past, we have maybe looked at not the ideal products, and we have not focused enough on India. With the move of giving the responsibility to Skoda to look after the region for the group, and with what we call India 2.0 project, which are now the products are coming through now, we believe that we have now got the right products, and we believe that we have given the team on the ground the right level of autonomous decisions, and give them enough support they need, but let them free enough to touch the demands and the wishes of the Indian consumer. No? So to understand what's going on the ground, to localize to the maximum, and so on. So that's all has happened now, and we are this month we're going to launch the new Kushaq, and I think this car is going to change our fortune around in India big time.
Okay, so you're saying that there's going to be a much more sort of laser-like focus on India in comparison to the way that Skoda has treated India previously. But, take me through the plans that you have specifically. 8,000 crore rupees has been earmarked for the India 2.0 plans that Skoda has put together. You just gave me an indication of the next big launch that you're betting on. But outside of the fact that you imagine there's likely to be more localization, decentralization, more autonomy given to the local leadership, what do you believe will be the driving pillars of the Change India strategy?
Again, the empowerment of the local team, that was very important. In my previous job, I used to run Africa. If you're not on the ground and you don't understand where you are, it's difficult to maneuver business. And we have, with Goparai, we have a very seasoned and experienced CEO who's running operations there. He's permanently reminding us what Indian consumers want to see, what is the expectation, how do we position this? And I mean, you can see it in the choice of name for a car. That would have been impossible even a couple of years ago, to have an Indian name for a Skoda car or for a Volkswagen car. It's impossible. So now we have it, and we're very happy about it. So when their team came up and said, hey, that's our name, it fits us, and we want this, so go for it. This is it. And you see, around the factory, we also do lots in terms of technology center, with the localization of parts is key to meet the cost positions. And that's going to come all together in what we believe a great solid move on the Indian subcontinent. So I'm super excited to go and visit, because my last visit to India was 2012, still with another company, still in Pune, but not.
Well, it's been a long time. Pune is a very different city since you last visited in 2012. But Mr. Schäfer, I just want to get a little more details from you on this localization strategy, as well as the decision to enhance capacity, etc., as you progress here in India. The Indian government is soon going to announce a production-linked incentive scheme for the auto sector. Are you looking at that at all as a possible option, as a possible opportunity? And what are the challenges in terms of localization as well as duties? Because many of your peers, the likes of Mercedes-Benz, who like you have been operating in India for over 2 decades, have expressed concerns about high duties and that coming in the way. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, the auto industry is a connected industry, global industry. So duties are usually not helpful in a sense. I know what the purpose of it is. I'm well aware of this. But India doesn't have to be scared in terms of its position that it can play within the global context. No? On the contrary, I think we need to play Indian manufacturing even stronger, not only for India, but also for exports in other regions. So I believe there's a lot of opportunity in there. And I know this discussion also from other countries. And if you only think local, that's not good enough. That's in the global context. I think we need to stay connected. And duties are not helpful in this regard, obviously.
Thomas Schäfer, it's been an absolute pleasure. Many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV 18 and taking us through Skoda's plans, not just for India, but as well for what 2021 holds for you. Appreciate you joining us here on the program.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll take a break here on the Motown Sentimeter, but don't go anywhere. When we return, there's more coming up from M&M and GM.
Welcome back. You're watching Motown Sentimeter. Mahindra & Mahindra sold 15,391 passenger vehicles in February this year. This was driven by a 44% increase in utility vehicle sales. With 11,559 commercial vehicles sold, Mahindra & Mahindra reported a 41% decline in CV sales. However, on the tractor front, things continued to move on a strong growth trajectory. M&M reported a 25% increase in tractor sales in February, including domestic sales and exports. Let's now get in Mr. Rajesh Jejurikar, Executive Director, Automotive and Farm Equipment Sector at Mahindra & Mahindra. Mr. Jejurikar, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I'd like to begin by asking you about the current demand situation and your outlook on that.
We have seen very, very good momentum on the demand side in our auto brands through the last 6 to 8 months, ever since the lockdown got lifted. Thar, of course, has been doing very well. The XUV 300 is in very good demand. And of course, so are all the other brands. We've unfortunately not been able to fully leverage this opportunity because of supply challenges. And I just want to point out one critical one that we face now, which is the whole challenge coming out of the global semiconductor issue.
You know, Continental, sir, which is another big supplier of ECUs, is saying that the global semiconductor shortage could impact ECU supply for at least the next 9 months, well into the next fiscal. There are other OEMs in the market like Hyundai, Maruti, who are saying that their ECU situation is manageable. There has been no impact on their production. So how are you trying to diversify your supply chain? Is Mahindra looking to onboard more suppliers, more companies who could help right now?
Unfortunately, it's not easy to diversify a supply chain in these kind of products at short notice. We do believe that our current supplier will come out of this in the next few months. Like I said, we are more impacted because of one specific semiconductor supplier based in Malta, which is impacting a significant part of our product portfolio. The same ECU supplier to us is not as badly impacted in some of our other products like commercial vehicles, heavy and light commercial vehicles. So we think the issue will remain till at least the next quarter, which is end of June. At the levels that we are seeing right now, Jan-March levels, we hope not Feb, because Feb was really bad from an availability point of view. And then things should start easing out for us post-June.
Okay. Has this also thrown plans for new model launches into disarray?
No, I wouldn't say it puts it into disarray because, we have the 601 launch, which we had said will be in the quarter 1 of the financial, which is April, June. The product is kind of at its final stages of getting ready. The critical issue is the actual date of production and go to market, because we don't want to launch a new product and then, have disproportionately long waiting periods. We don't think that's very healthy. It's good to have good demand like we're seeing on Thar, but we do need to be sure we have a reasonable amount of production available for our current products before we really get into introducing a new one. It's not affecting the readiness of the product. It's only affecting the timing of start of production.
Now, just to speak to you about the upcoming CAFE norms and BS6 Phase 2 norms, the industry is worried about the price escalation due to these upcoming regulations. They have sought a postponement as well. In your estimates, sir, at a time when the auto industry is already impacted due to the semiconductor shortage, the BS6 transition cost, high steel prices, what will be the price impact of BS6 Phase 2 and the CAFE norms?
Yeah, so we have two things that are on the table. One is the CAFE norms and then the BS 6.2 as it's being called. There is a dialogue going on almost as we speak today with the ministry, with the SIAM representation, putting forth the view of the industry requesting for a postponement of implementation of these norms based for all the reasons that you said. That being said, we as a manufacturer are fully ready, and if we have to implement as per the government regulated schedule, we will. The larger point under consideration here is, as you said, there is a commodity price inflation on top of what you said. We've just moved to BS6 norms, and and the demand is just coming back after a long period of slow demand, and we really would feel that it will be nice to have some moving of the dates in a way that it enables stability to come into the automotive industry.
Right. So you too are seeking a deferment of these norms so that there is stability in the automotive industry. But just to ask you about your plans in terms of your product mix as well, how is Mahindra's plan to build more gasoline engines going, sir?
So we've had, introduced a full new family of gasoline engines, and I'm very happy to say that the feedback we're getting from our consumers is really very, very positive on our gasoline engines. Most people believe that Mahindra will not be able to launch gasoline engines, and today if you talk to any of the auto experts, they would very strongly endorse the amazing drive performance that our gasoline engines have. Right now on XUV 300, we have almost 50% of our volume that comes out of gasoline. On a product like Thar, we have almost 25% of the bookings coming out of gasoline. We've made now our plants are fully fungible, so we can move to whatever ratio of gasoline diesel that the market would move to. So we are fully ready for a swing in gasoline, and we believe we have a very high quality gasoline offering.
All right. And now my final set of questions, sir. The tractor sales have again continued on a strong growth trajectory in February. What would be your outlook for the farm sector?
February was good for us as well. We had a 25% growth over Feb last year. There is still a good retail momentum visible in the market, and we believe we could have done some more while we have most of our supply side issues, fundamental supply side issues behind us on the tractor side. We do have very model-specific concerns that we need to take care of. For example, a huge amount of the market moved to power steerings, and we have run out of power steering capacity with our supplier. So that's one kind of bottleneck enabling further growth. And a similar kind of shift was also visible to four-wheel drive versions. And again, we were not fully prepared for these two shifts by way of creating adequate supply capacity. That being said, we believe the rural story is still very strong, very robust, and at least till the end of the monsoons that would come, which is the season June, July, we think a good demand momentum will continue. What happens thereof is something that we will have to wait and watch. But there have been very good reservoir levels, which is a good enabler for growth in the future. No specific numbers yet on the outlook for F22 for the industry.
And finally, sir, just to bring in the semiconductor shortage once again, because it's such a major issue for the automotive industry right now. The US government is also looking into this. Can the Indian government do something to ease the semiconductor shortage for the Indian automotive industry? Do you think the government has any role here that they can play?
Parikshit, to be honest, I think it's going to be a very limited role. The reality is that a large amount of the shortage in semiconductor availability has been because semiconductor manufacturers moved their production and supply away from automotive industry to other sectors like telecom. Automotive is a small component of their overall chain, and there is a huge value realization opportunity in mobiles and other parts of the telecommunication sector. And India doesn't have a huge strength overall in manufacturing mobiles at this point of time. So I really think it's a larger issue for at a broader level of where semiconductor makers prioritize their supply between different sectors like automotive versus telecom, for example. So I personally think there's a limited role that the government can play. It's for us OEMs to work closely with our manufacturers and use the best effort we can to maximize availability.
All right, from Mahindra & Mahindra to General Motors, the company's plan to exit India is facing several hurdles. The employees' union is opposing the sale of the plant to China's Great Wall Motors, and the state government is also yet to sign off on the transfer of land. Alicia Sajdev spoke to General Motors Communications Director George Swigos. Listen in.
Our preferred path is to come to a negotiated separation package that supports employees. The offer we've put on the table provide 2 years of salary for employees. This is our preferred option, to negotiate with a package of measures, including a separation package that supports impacted employees. In relation to the legal process, I would say there's only one party that's driving towards a legal process, and that's the union. Make no mistake, we are very well prepared and we're very confident in our legal position, but it's not our preferred course of action.
Is General Motors prepared to negotiate upwards of the VSS that they've currently put on the table in front of the employees?
In order to negotiate, we'd need a willing counterparty to negotiate with. So at this stage, it's hard to answer what would happen. What we need is for it to actually negotiating. We've stood ready to negotiate for months.
George, considering that the employees' union is actually fighting against what they're calling an illegal transfer of land from GM to Great Wall Motors, what is going to be your legal position in the matter? Since they say that this is a grey area because the company filed for closure and transfer at the same time.
We're very confident of our legal position in relation to this transaction. The course that we've taken is a standard course of action in these scenarios. And ultimately, the relevant authorities and courts will decide the merits of this. But what's regrettable is that a year since we signed this agreement, the union still is not willing to negotiate, has not seized any initiative to negotiate, has actively refused to negotiate with us around a separation package.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Motown Sentimeter. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. News and updates continue on the other side.